Woo! Good evening, Bloomington Normal. So do appreciate you being here this evening. We have set the stage. The candidates are ready, and the 2025 consolidated elections are here. So welcome to the exclusive radio show where the drama, the debates, and the decisions of tomorrow unfold tonight. Tonight's the night, the heart of the Twin Cities. From the heart of the Twin Cities, Cities 92.9, we've got all the biggest races, including the highly anticipated three-way races for both Bloomington and Normal. The future of our communities is at stake here, folks. The tension, I just can't bear it. So we're going to be waiting a little bit. That polls just closed, so I'm sure we don't have any results yet. Let me refresh. Oh, we're getting something in, I think. Kind of. They're trickling in. So we're going to be looking between McLean County, the McLean County Election Authority, McLean County Clerk's Office, and BEC. So I've got Kathleen Loren. She's pulling with 994 votes. So 34% so far. Chris Goose, 50%. Kimberly Harris, 15%. Okay, but this is only with only a few precincts for reporting right now. Okay, so that's the town of Normal. Let me double check on the BEC right now. The BEC, that's the other election authority, because remember, folks, we have two election authorities for Bloomington Normal. We are going to get to some of the more rural areas. BEC hasn't gotten anything yet. We've got some votes trickling in from the McLean County Election Authority. So some of your top races tonight. Let's talk about, obviously, the three-way mayoral races. We've got Kathleen Lorenz, Kimberly Harris, Chris Coos. Then we've got Dan Brady, Mboka Mwambe, and Cody Hendricks, all for Bloomington mayor. And then I'm going to do the townships. Now, one thing you need to know about Bloomington, none of the township races are contested. It's very contested in the Normal township races for the trustees. There's 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans. Okay, those are partisan elections. And then something interesting about the trustees, or the township trustees, though, any townships with fewer than 5,000, and I don't think that applies to Normal township, but there's a bill cooking right now in the Illinois State House where they're going to get rid of townships, or they're looking to get rid of townships with fewer than 5,000 people. Okay, so the small, like rural townships, you could be on the chopping block, okay, which brings a whole host of problems, right? Are your roads going to get plowed? What's going to happen if those rural townships go away? They're looking to consolidate. Illinois has a ton of units of government. I think it's interesting that they're going after the rural townships right now. But anyway, so we're going to be looking at the Normal township. Like I said, we've got Floyd Aper, Randall Schwab, Rond Ulmer. Those are the Republican candidates. Then we've got Tanner Starr, Natasha Saeed, Dylan Heil Brode, Nicoa Griffiths. If I'm not saying those right, I'm sorry. But there are 4 Republicans, hang on, let me double check this. I gotta look that, but it's a very crowded race for Normal township. I gotta double check that though. The totals for Republicans and Democrats. I think that there's 4 and 4, but I gotta double check. But we're getting some totals in. We are also going to take a look, obviously, at the sales tax referendum. That's going to increase your sales taxes by 1% if it passes. So far, I mean, not as bad as a voter turnout as what I had expected. There were like 200 people alone who were at ISU earlier this afternoon, like at just one point during the day. I'd say probably around like 1-2 o'clock. There were over 200 people, which is insane. So it's not as low as you might think. Maybe it's because the sales tax referendum. This is a mayoral race or mayoral election, and non-mayoral elections, it's about half that. 20% is voter turnout usually for consolidated elections. But let's refresh this. I want to kind of refresh, take a look at the township supervisors. I want to take a look at the township. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats, like I said. Floyd Aper, all the Republicans not doing as well. They're at, like I said, it's really early, the 7%. They're all kind of 7-8% right now. Floyd Aper is at 7.9% of the vote. Randall Schwab is at 7.75% of the vote. Then we've got 8.12% of the vote. Mary Codier. And then we've got Tanner Starr, Natasha Seed, Dylan Heil-Brode, and Nicoa Griffiths. Okay, so there's 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats. Okay, now the Democrats are all kind of bouncing around that 17% right now. So we're getting a little bit, trickling in a little bit now. What's been so crazy, about these elections so far up to this point, the last couple of months, what has happened? I want to get to that during this election show. First, let's talk about the Heartland trustees. Who are we looking at for the Heartland trustees, which is another race we're going to be looking at? We're also going to be looking at, I'm sorry, rural folks, I couldn't pull them all. Okay, Downs Genoa. A lot of you guys didn't have contested races. I live in Lincoln. I didn't have a single contested race. Actually, we do have Heartland trustees in Lincoln, so I voted for the same people you voted for in Bloomington-Normal here in Lincoln. The Heartland trustees, David Selzer, Janet Hood, your Republicans, okay, even though they weren't marked, I don't think. And then you have Thomas Witt and Lori Bergner. Okay, Thomas Witt is a dimwit. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. I looked at this, and it's really easy. If you ever want to know who to vote for, just look up their social media. You can tell a lot by somebody who is on social media. I want to share this with you because I think that this is very hilarious. Thomas Witt, he's obviously going for Heartland trustee. All right. And I'm on Facebook, and you guys can see this if you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. This is your live election show. We're your election headquarters, Cities 92.9. We're going to be going for quite a bit. Until 9 o'clock, and we're already getting some of the vote totals here, like I said. But Thomas Witt, and you guys can see this on Facebook, he says, "Hey MAGAs, President Musk is saying the quiet part out loud. How many of you voted for, quote, Americans are too hard to train, let's bring in cheap foreign tech workers? Apparently investing in your own people is too expensive and not worth the effort." Okay, so then he shares this picture. Now, you'll see that this photo has been altered. Okay, now Facebook has fact-checked this, and then you click on see why, and you're like, wait a second, whoa. So this Heartland trustee, or potential Heartland trustee, is a candidate. He shared fake news on his social media and tried to, post this altered picture. It was a screenshot, but it looked like a screenshot from Elon Musk's X account, and his X account said investing in Americans is actually hard, really hard. It costs money and time and effort to make a productive person, and it's a short-term net loss. They were talking about H-1Bs, foreign workers, and how he said investing in Americans it's too much, and he doesn't want to invest in American labor. This was a fake post, USA Today. Okay, this is a fact-checking website. They fact-checked this, and they said that the image was altered, but your Heartland trustee shared this on his social media. So it's very easy. People always ask me, who do I vote for, Kat? It's very, very simple who you should vote for. When you go and you just look these people up on the internet, that's the beauty of living in 2025. People will tell you who they are just by their social media. Go ahead, smash that like button on the YouTube stream. We're streaming. Before we go, I do, for a quick break, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to look at our vote totals. Before we do that, though, I want to give you some preliminary results. And like I said, until the end of the night, they're all going to be kind of preliminary, okay? So let me refresh this. We're looking at still 34% of the vote with Kathleen Lorenz for the normal mayoral race, 50% of the vote for Chris Coos, Kimberly Harris, we're looking at 15% of the vote. So this is just them trickling in now. Okay, now I'm going to try to check out Bloomington Election Commission because we have two of them. I don't know why McLean County residents, we all pay for Bloomington Election Authority to operate, by the way. They've got nothing. Usually, I'm going to just be honest, I've been doing this for 5 years at this point, calling elections. BEC is usually pretty slow to get their results in. So we're probably not going to hear anything about the Dan Brady race, Cody Hendricks race, or Mboka, the Bloomington mayoral race. And like I said, there's not a whole lot of contested things going on in district or for Bloomington because you've got the school board. It's not contested. You've got just a lot of citywide races. So, I mean, Ward 1, obviously, Benjamin Zimmerman, Jenna Kearns, they're in Ward 1. And then you've got Roger Bedecker and Abby Scott in Ward 9. Those are the only really contested ones coming out of Bloomington that I see. There's also no contested for Unit 5, the school board. Now, one race we are going to take a look at a little bit later once we get there. El Paso Gridley, the mayor, like I said, a lot of these rural communities, they were uncontested, so I didn't even bother with it. I'm sorry, guys. Congratulations to all of the candidates who won in their uncontested races. That just tells you need to step up, right? There needs to be more of the democratic process on the ballot. We need to have more of it and more people coming out. So, but a lot of it was uncontested. But the El Paso Gridley mayor, that is a three-way. Obviously, the top two, I guess, get it, which is interesting. I'll have to look into that. They're like top guy. There, you get to pick two, and it's the top two. So we're going to look at that, or maybe it's not. I got to look into that. El Paso Gridley. Different municipalities do different things. Sometimes you have village presidents, like in McLean. We'll look at that one. That one's contested. And we'll be right back. You're listening to the 2025 Consolidated Election Show. We should have more results on the other side. Hey, good morning. Go ahead, smash that like button. Hey, Tim. Appreciate you being here. Becky Swan. Appreciate you being here. We are going to be back with some results. I'm going to total them up, and you guys just hang out for just a second. Okay, good morning. Good evening, Bloomington Normal. So do appreciate you being here on the big election show. I looked at some of these results now. I was kind of confused because it says 0% or 0 precincts reporting. So what are we looking at right now? Up to this point, all we're looking at are um, mail-in ballots. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. You've got Kathleen Lorenz. This is the most interesting. By the way, I answered that El Paso Gridley question. The El Paso Gridley, that the mayoral race is just one. I got my wires crossed. It's just one. You get to vote for one. And we've got Thad Moole, Ronald Howard, and we have George William Moore, and they're all running. It's a three-way. Good evening. Good evening. It's the most anticipated show of all year. This is Bloomington Normal's 2025 Consolidated Election exclusive radio show where I bring you results. Okay, so I figured out a few things. Number one, mayor for El Paso. It is just one. Sorry about that. I was getting my wires crossed. Municipalities do really, really weird things, especially as they get smaller. It's just really weird. So McLean Village, they also select a president. Okay, so I wanted to take a look at these just because they're contested. This is a three-way in El Paso: Thad Moole, Ronald Howard, George William Moore. You get to pick one in El Paso. Okay, I wanted to clarify that. Now, I also want to talk about how the only results that we're getting right now are actually mail-in ballots. So that should really raise some eyebrows. Now, I want to take a look at Chad Burke. He's running for Normal Township Supervisor against Crystal Label, the Democrat. Chad Burke, the Republican. Traditionally, you would think that Republicans don't do as well with the mail-in ballots. 0% precincts reporting. There are 0 precincts counted right now. At this point, it's all mail-in ballots. So you got Chad Burke here, and he's got 883 votes, and then Crystal Abel has 1,900 or almost 2,000 votes. So she's winning right now with 70% of the vote. Now, remember, this is all mail-in ballots, so this shouldn't shock you. Democrats typically vote with mail-in. Okay, that's just, they favor mail-in ballots more. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because Republicans just don't trust the mail-in. Who knows? But typically, Republicans, they show out in person, okay, or they early vote. So these are probably your early votes and your mail-in ballots. 0 precincts reporting right now. So BEC is also not reporting anything as of right now. I want to make sure that we refresh. Polls did just close. Okay, so it's only 7:30, and yeah, so we've only got the mail-in ballots at this point. So I'm going to take a look at that a little bit later. I do want to get into some of the things earlier in the show I talked about. Thomas Witt, kind of a dimwit, if you ask me. He's a Heartland trustee candidate. Let's actually look at him. I want to see what he's got so far. So for the McLean County election authority, Thomas Witt has 1,917 votes. Okay, so that is only for the McLean County municipality. Okay, now for BEC, let's take a look, because BEC, they also have these community college trustees as well. They're not reporting. So all we've got right now are like mail-in ballots from McLean County, not Bloomington, for Thomas Witt. Let's take a look at the other ones in that race. Janet Hood, she's like a Republican-ish, as the best way I could probably describe it. She also served, or was, I believe, on the YWCA board or something, from what I could tell by her social media. She served on that board, and of course, we know that is kind of a leftist organization. But that's Janet Hood. She, traditional, I would say, kind of Republican, okay? Janet Hood. And then you've got David Selzer in that race as well. These are not, And now I'm saying that I'm saying that, but they're not marked, okay, as Republican, Democrat, because these are nonpartisan. I know Thomas Witt, by judging on his social media, his profile picture is the Canadian flag, and he changed his profile picture to a big Elon Musk, like no Elon Musk sign, and he refers to people who voted for Donald Trump as MAGAs. So there's that, Thomas Witt. And then we've got David Seltzer. He's a Republican type, I would say, judging by his social media, folks. Okay. Now that I knew nothing about these candidates until I researched them. I found out a little bit of what they've done. And through their social media. That's about it. Okay. I didn't really research them a ton today. But they were on my ballot as well, because Heartland Community College is in multiple, obviously, election authorities. They're in the Bloomington Election Authority and McLean County. So Lori Bergner, she has how many votes right now? She's got 2,448. So she's really pulling ahead with this. And the women are really pulling ahead with this. They've got Janet Hood at 2,594 votes. And then you've got David Seltzer with 1,569 votes right now. Okay, so let's look at our vote totals here. So preliminary winners, oh man, we've got, but this shouldn't shock us because it's all mail-in ballots at this point. Preliminary results suggest Janet Hood, Thomas Witt, and Lori Bergner. Lori Bergner, also judging by social media, climate activist. So those are your Heartland trustees. Spent a lot of time on those guys. There's so much I want to get to. A lot of things have been going on this election cycle as far as news. I want to get to, of course, the McLean County School Districts asking voters to approve the 1% sales tax on their taxpayer-funded websites. This is a move that has led to residents accusing officials of criminal offenses, and subsequently you've got the McLean County Sheriff opening an investigation into Class B misdemeanor election interference. Dean Fletcher, an Illinois resident, lodged a complaint with the Illinois State Police. He also tried to launch a complaint with the Illinois State Policy Special Investigations Unit at the Attorney General. So that's the Illinois State Police. Okay, they have a unit, a specialty unit. And then they have the Attorney General's Public Integrity Bureau. Okay, both these entities, these agencies, declined to investigate, but McLean County Sheriff Matt Lane's office, there's a detective that has been assigned to this case to investigate this alleged illegal activity, where they are asking voters to approve this referendum on their taxpayer-funded websites and using taxpayer dollars to promote this 1% sales tax. The tax burden is incredibly high. McLean County, we pay some of the highest sales tax. 82% of municipalities, they in Illinois, outside of like McLean County, okay, 82% pay less. Okay, so we are really, really oddballs here in McLean County, because we also pay some of the highest outside of like some Cook County or like some suburb type counties up by Chicago. We're paying a lot of the highest property taxes, like statewide averages. McLean County's over that, okay, when it comes to property taxes. So we're paying a lot for our schools. And when I say we're paying a lot for our schools, we're paying a lot for Barry Riley. Okay. He managed 9 schools and he's making $200,000 plus in a pension. That's what I mean when we spend a lot, or when we're paying a lot for our schools via our property taxes. We're paying these exorbitant administrator salaries. All right, I got to take a quick break. But you're listening to the 2025 Consolidated Election Show. We should have some more results just pouring in here in a minute. It's only been 30 minutes, and so far all we've got are the mail-in ballots. So we're going to be right back. You're listening to the 2025 Consolidated Election Show. We should have results pouring in here anytime at this point, we've got to try to look for these. Like I said, the Unit 5 District 87 school boards, they are uncontested. Let's take a look. I'm going to try to reload again. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. So we're just going to wait a little bit, and I'm going to tell you what's been going on essentially all this election cycle. There's been a lot of stories that we've done exclusively, and a lot of them are, about the 1% sales tax referendum, investigating that. But we've also investigated Cody Hendricks' mailers. He's also come under scrutiny, by the way, for his mailers violating city code potentially, because these are nonpartisan elections. Kathleen Lorenz has come under scrutiny because of her $28,000 contribution from the McLean County Republican Party. Now, Kathleen Lorenz, if we look at her mail-in totals, not too bad. She's not too far off from, we'll have to see. Now, she's not going to make it if voter turnout was very low, okay? Because he's got a near 500, almost 500 more votes than Kathleen Lorenz at this point because the mail-in ballots. At this point, if she didn't get Kimberly Harris, three-way races are really interesting because Kimberly Harris might have pulled enough people away from Chris Coos. And Kathleen might actually take this thing. She's 500. I would have liked to seen that number be more like 300 or 200. Then Kathleen probably would have ran away with this election. It's going to be tight with this election. With these mail-in ballots coming in, I think it's going to be a very close race. Now, had it just been a two-way race and Kimberly Harris didn't get in, I think at this point we could have said that Chris Coos was going to win it all. If all those votes, if Kimberly Harris voters were, and that's the thing, is I don't think Kimberly Harris voters would have voted for Kathleen Lorenz in any kind of world, okay? They probably were Chris Coos voters the last election cycle, but they decided on Kimberly Harris. They're further left, right? Progressive. So we'll have to see what happens there. But I want to get to a few other races here. Let's see, City of Bloomington, the Bloomington Election Commission that you pay taxes for if you're a McLean County resident, by the way. Even if you don't live in Bloomington, they have not reported their vote totals yet. So they're probably not doing it like the McLean County Election Commission or Election Authority, where they do all the mail-in ballots first and the early votes first. That is what Michael says, is that they do the mail-in ballots and then they do the early votes first, and then the precincts start to get counted. Okay, so still kind of waiting. Let's see, here we go. Okay, sorry guys, I'm talking away. We're still kind of waiting for some election results to come in. We've got some, but they're all mail-in ballots at this point. So 35 minutes, the polls have been closed for 35 minutes. We haven't seen much of anything. Now, this is going to be a really tight race. All that I've got right now, Kathleen Lorenz, Chris Coos, Kimberly Harris, okay? This is going to be very tight. I would have liked to see, he's got about 500 more mail-in ballots. I mean, mail-in, maybe early votes as well, than Kathleen Lorenz. We shouldn't be shocked by that. She's a more moderate candidate. We know that Chris Coos was endorsed by Dick Durbin. Definitely not a moderate choice. Chris Coos has come under fire from even people on the left, modern mobility, kids on campus, because of the electric scooter ban. They lobbied for several years, modern mobility. We gave you that story exclusively right here on Cities 92.9 earlier, I think this month or last month in February. And we brought you this story about modern mobility. They're an electric scooter company. They missed out on a bit like millions of dollars, okay, and you missed out on all of that sales tax that could have been generated by these electric scooters used by students. Well, they weren't going to be allowed on ISU's campus, but they're not even allowed in Normal, okay? They're not permitted, which is really interesting because at the NAACP candidate forum, and I'll have to pull this up here because you guys are going to get a kick out of this. The NAACP candidate forum, I'll never forget this. Chris Cousy actually said that he was asked about this question, like, what do you think about e-scooters being banned in Illinois or in Normal? And he goes, well, they're not banned. And then, we reported the facts, which they are banned effectively. And that's not me just saying it. That's me looking at their website and seeing that they're not permitted on sidewalks. They're not permitted really anywhere. So despite the Town of Normal website outlining that e-scooters are not permitted anywhere, okay, he's still, hang on, let me share this with you. You guys are going to get a kick out of this. So the question will start at the NAACP candidate forum. This was a few weeks back, and they ask him about e-scooters, and he denies banning these things. So take a listen. Here we go.
Why was a contract for a local business to provide e-scooters shut down without public input? This could have brought money to the town as well as additional transportation options to citizens.
To start that conversation, we're facing challenges in the community with e-scooters, e-bikes, and how to regulate. That's a technology that's moving very quickly that we need to address. And most of the conflict happens on Constitution Trail. And that's what we're working with Friends of the Constitution Trail, the Lake Run Club, McLean County Wheelers to come up with solutions to address that. But first off, and I think the most important thing in that is we have not banned e-scooters in Normal. We have had no legislation on e-scooters in Normal. That is a rumor, and that is a rumor being spread by a person in the e-scooter business. So I'm pretty upset that people think that we have banned e-scooters in our community. We have not.
No, I'm upset that people think that we have banned e-scooters in our community. We have not. But Chris, your own website says they're not permitted. The Town of Normal website says they're not permitted. So I don't know what your definition of ban is. All right, real quick, I want to get to Tri-Valley School District. Somebody in the comments section, you guys are welcome to join me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Tash, she says, hey, can you review the Tri-Valley School Board? Yes, I can. So Tri-Valley, we're looking at Mariah Burning. Now you get to pick 3 of these candidates. Okay, this is a pretty crowded race. Mariah Bruning, 99 votes, 17%. Okay, of the votes so far. Now, the reminder, these are all mail-in ballots, so we're not anywhere near, an accurate report here. This is preliminary. Mariah Bruning, 17% of the vote. Robert Bobby Brown, 19% of the vote. Wow, all very close. Amy Pitzer, 18% of the vote. Brian Myers, 19% of the vote. Tom Stark, 13% of the vote. And Casey Mist, 11% of the vote. So right now, you're looking at Brian Myers as your leader, and then Bobby Brown as another leader, and then Amy Pitzer as the top 3 here. Okay, so the top 3 will move on, and they will be the school board members. Okay, so that's Tri-Valley. That's a very, very contested race. I'm glad that and if you guys want a specific race, text me 309-451-9299, or you can hop onto the stream and text or leave a comment of what you want to see. So that's what we've got so far with Tri-Valley. You've got Bobby Brown, Amy Pitzer, and Brian Myers. So let me refresh here. We'll see if we've got any more vote totals. Nope, we're still just with the mail-in ballots. Let's check BEC. We don't have anything with BEC as of right now. Now, remember, folks, the reason why you're here tonight is because certain races, specifically I think it's just your Heartland trustees that extend into both Bloomington and Normal. Now, I've got some rural races as well that I'm going to be taking a look at. The El Paso mayor, that's a three-way race. Wanted to take a look at that. And then Leroy, Ward 1, Patricia Wellander, and Scott Tucker. This is a more rural area. They've got the contested race now, for Leroy, their presidents or whatever it is, mayor or whatever they've got going on. That wasn't contested. We've just got like one race that's contested, really, in Leroy. The McLean Village, so not McLean County, but McLean Village president, Daniel Bile and Abiel and Charles Denham Jr., Charles E. Denham Jr., they are running against each other, and we will bring you an update with that race as well a little bit later once we start to get some more vote totals. Now, all I've got right now for Heartland trustees, the top three, Janet Hood, Thomas Witt, and Lori Bergner. Okay, David Seltzer is at 18% of the vote, so he is not one of the top three, which will move on and become a Heartland trustee as of right now. Like I said, it's preliminary. We are going to be getting you more results here in just a little bit later in the show. I want to get to a few things that happened this election cycle. There's been so much. Kathleen Lorenz has come under scrutiny because of this $28,000 that was funneled through her campaign from the McLean County Republicans. McLean County Republicans allegedly got it from Greg and Heather Shepard. Election filings show that they had split that total. They had split like the 28,000. It was 14,600 from each of them, and they donated to the McLean County Republicans. Greg Shepard is Chris Coos, Kathleen Lorenz's opponent's cousin. This gets crazy. It's like Jerry Springer. Some people like sports. I love politics. This is like the coolest thing to me. I love watching these numbers come in. Been doing it now for 5 years, and there's nothing more exhilarating than election night. I've got to take a quick break. You're listening to Cities 92.9. We're going to come back and do some more vote totals. Coos doesn't sell e-bikes in his bike shop, correct? He does sell e-bikes, yes. So e-bikes are permitted. E-scooters are not permitted. He sells e-bikes in his bike shop. So yeah, they're not permitted in certain areas. I think they're permitted in the street and on Constitutional Trail, but they're not permitted on sidewalks, something like that. So they're not completely banned, but there's certain areas that are restricted. Oh boy, my lights went out. That was strange. Bizarre. Only some of my lights went out. That was weird. I'm going to change the color on that one. Very weird. Okay. Well, now it's blue. So we are going to be talking a little bit about these races and the results, but I do want to talk more about the sales tax referendum. Let me actually look up that referendum, okay? I'm looking for the referendum and I'm not seeing it. They're probably all at the bottom. Yeah, here they are. There's a lot of questions. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back with some election results because I think they're going to be coming in here in just a second. So hold tight and go ahead and smash that like button. Oh boy. All right, Dean. So I know you're here for the sales tax referendum. It looks like McLean County question. Here it is. Vote for one. Yes. We've got 2,000 votes for that one. For the McLean County Election Authority. Okay, so we're gonna throw that here into my spreadsheet because we got to do some calculations here. And we're back. Hold on. Wow, thanks so much for joining me, guys. I appreciate you being here. This is the 2025 Consolidated Election Show. Yes, the Tri-Valley School District, we are going to get, our school board, we are going to get to that. You guys seem to be excited about that race. Yes, very difficult for me to say good evening instead of good morning. You guys can catch the recap of this show tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. I'm going to do a morning recap for you. I'm just going to give you the results that I gave you the previous night because we should have a lot of it definitely by morning. We don't have a whole lot right now. I did take a look at the sales tax referendum. Not looking great. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I really don't want that to pass for you. Now, it's like I'm in Logan County. I'm just going to be full disclosure with you. I didn't vote for it because I'm in Logan, right? We didn't have that on my ballot. So I just don't want to see you guys have to pay more. And I know that you have to pay more next year probably with the local grocery tax. And it's just going to suck for you because you in McLean County pay higher than the statewide average of property taxes, okay? Your tax burden is insane in McLean County. It shouldn't shock you why they're insane. Barry Riley, who has spearheaded this Yes for McLean County Schools PAC and is currently, they're all under review, okay? The school's under review, investigation, I should, clarify. They're under investigation right now by the McLean County Sheriff's Office for election interference. Is Class B misdemeanor. Now, what's really interesting is this property tax abatement that they passed in late February. There is a provision within the law that talks about buying votes. And this is going to be interesting because that's actually a felony, buying somebody's vote, right? So I can't go up to somebody and say, hey, I'll give you $100 to vote for this person. Okay, that's buying somebody's vote. Now, the property tax abatement, they say that they're going to lower your property taxes, which is giving you money, okay, back into your pocket. And they said, we'll lower your property taxes if you vote for this. Is this like a bribe? You know what I mean? Like this abatement, it was a property tax abatement. They promised to lower the school boards passed this, District 87 and Union 5, they passed these resolutions and they coordinated really with the ROE, the Regional Office of Education, to kind of come up with this abatement because you had Erica Hunt at the tippity top of ROE emailing back and forth with David Mauser, the District 87 superintendent, and she had suggested a property tax abatement. So I don't know, maybe a Class B misdemeanor isn't enough. Maybe they should be looking into the felony of buying people's votes, but with this property tax abatement, I'm just saying, like, that's how people feel when they hear that the resolution passed, the property tax abatement resolution, promising to lower property taxes. People feel like their votes are trying to be bought, but clearly a lot of people have shown out for this because here's the results, okay? Now, again, this is mail-in ballots, so we shouldn't be shocked that a lot of the mail-in ballots are leaning to the left. A lot of the candidates, it's all leaning to the left. Like I said, Heartland trustees, the top three are those top three lefties. We know Kathleen Lorenz, she's coming in right under Chris Coos. Kimberly Harris chipping away at Chris Coos's lead. Probably, I'd imagine that not a lot of people voting for Kathleen Lorenz, or not a lot of people voting for Kimberly Harris would have voted for Kathleen Lorenz. She's taking votes away from Chris Coos, I would imagine. But anyway, so here's the preliminary results for the McLean County question. Shall there be like a 1% sales tax or whatever for county schools or whatever it is, county facilities tax? They say that it's going to go to the facilities, but remember, if they put money, okay, this is like a shell game. That's what it's called. If they put money towards something, then they don't have to put it towards that thing. Then they have more money to play with when it comes to administrator salaries and things like that. But here we go. You guys are probably like, come on, good. I'm like on the end of my chair. I just want it. I just want the results. So we're looking at about 56% of the vote is a yes, and 43% of the vote is a no. So it's going to be close. And like I said, a lot of this at this point is mail-in ballots. We're just looking at mail-in ballots here. So I've just got 56.86% of the vote. Bloomington results just came in. All right, here we go. Here we go. So that's probably going to bring it up a little bit. I'd imagine Bloomington. Okay, so Bloomington, how many precincts are reporting? Well, we'll get to that later. Let's just get you results. 0 precincts. So this is also mail-in ballots. Okay. Dan Brady, 44.9% of the vote. Cody Hendricks, 34.10% of the vote. And Boca Milwamboy, 20% of the vote. Okay. Ben Zimmerman, 39% of the vote. Jenna Kern, 60% of the vote. Okay. Roger Bedecker, 34% of the vote. And Abby Scott, 65% of the vote. Okay. So this is all very exciting. Let's look at some more of these. There should be the question here. Let me look for the question. I'm not seeing it. I'll have to look for the question. It's probably going to be more towards 58% of the vote is going for that yes question. But this is wild. Okay, did not see that on my bingo card. Well, I did. Dan Brady. I knew it was going to be Dan Brady, Cody Hendricks. But like I said, it's still really early. 0% of the precincts reporting is what I'm seeing here with the BEC. So that's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting to see these pour in, some of these totals pour in here. We're looking at Benjamin Zimmerman, 39.22% of the vote. He's got 373 votes. Like I said, these are mail-in ballots, and this shouldn't shock anyone. Jenna Kern's 578 votes. That's the difference between like a couple hundred votes. And like I said, this is early ballots. This is your mail-in voting. Traditionally, this always leans left because people who lean left prefer the mail-in option. Okay. Look that up. Now, Roger Bedecker, he's not doing as well, I would say, as well. 300. See, this is what I don't understand. Yeah, so 373. You've got Ben Zimmerman at 373, and he's got 340 votes in this ward. So this ward 9 with Abby Scott, he's got 340, and then she's got 648. Abby Scott. Now, Abby Scott is the wife of the current McLean County Board member, Corey Byrne. It shouldn't shock you. Like, I don't know why, but like the most corrupt areas, like their wives and their spouses and like their significant others all serve in government, or their siblings. It's really weird. I don't know why that is in Illinois. Like, it's like this weird, like, we're all just gonna like serve in government. So you've got Abby Scott. She's the wife of Corey Byrne, who's a sitting council or sitting McLean County Board member. Then Eric Hansen, he is a sitting McLean County Board member, and his husband is Cody Hendricks. Okay, and he's running for Bloomington mayor. Then you've got Crystal Abel, and she is a sitting McLean County Board member and has not said that she's going to give up. In fact, it's the opposite. She pointed out when called out on this, hey, are you going to serve in both positions, normal township supervisor, which I think they get a pretty hefty salary, by the way. And then you've got the McLean County Board seat. Are you going to serve in both facets of government? And she said, well, Catherine Metzger did it. Okay, it's not good if Catherine Metzger did it either, ma'am. It's bad. Like, you can't serve in a high level of government and a low level of government. There's Tiffany Henyard from Dalton, the village of Dalton. She calls herself super mayor. It's because she's Thornton Township supervisor and the Dalton mayor. And yeah, I don't need to tell you, but there's an FBI corruption case where she was using taxpayer funds from both municipalities. I mean, for lavish trips, right? There's an investigation against her, an accusation. So we've got a couple of seconds left. So, folks, we are going to be right back in just a couple of minutes. And we are going to give you more results because they're pouring in with the city of Bloomington. The Bloomington Election Commission, we have two authorities here. 44.9% of the vote, Dan Brady. Cody Hendricks, 34% of the vote. Boca Mwambwe, 20.9% of the vote. I pretty much saw that coming. I'm not shocked by that, but it's typically it leans left. But you've got Dan Brady coming out early with these mail-in ballots because that's all that's in right now, even for Bloomington Election Commission. Let me double check before we go the totals for for McLean County, the McLean County Election Authority. Yep, still kind of sitting there with those mail-in ballots. So Bloomington came in. We're at like 58% pro-tax. Ew, Dean. He's like, ew, 58% pro-tax. Yeah, I don't know how you read a question that says, can we raise your sales tax? And then you're like, yes. Like, are you buying eggs like I am? Are you buying milk? Like, are you seeing the prices, man? Are you at the grocery store? Are you at the gas pump? Like, are you seeing the same prices I am? You don't care that you just want to throw more money away at these schools for them to fail the students. They can't read at grade level. They can't do math at grade level. You should see District 87's numbers. They're abysmal. They're way below state standards. And the state standards are way below. Like, you don't want to look at the Illinois standards. You don't even want to be at Illinois standards because Illinois standards aren't that great either. So I'm going to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat, and we're going to be right back. All right. Yeah, we're still looking for these totals to come in. Yeah, we're sitting at 30% of the vote for Chad Burke and 69% of the vote for Crystal Label. But at this point, we're just looking at mail-in ballots. So smash that like button, share this out with your friends. I still don't understand why. Why in the world would anybody vote for a tax? I don't get it. Are you paying the same price as I am? You've got to be, right? All right, we're going to be right back. I got to take a quick break. You're listening to the 2025 election show. All right, folks, go ahead, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel today. I so do appreciate you tuning in. I do want to talk a little bit about the referendum sales tax. I can't believe this. This is actually shocking me. With the totals from, hold on. We've got BEC. There are 4,293 votes, yes, for the BEC. Then McLean County, we're looking at 2,556 or 2,567 yeses for the McLean. Okay, let me 4,293. I want to get your vote percentages here. And then your no's are 19 or 1,967. Okay. And then your results for Bloomington, we're looking at 3,095. This is just so embarrassing. Like, oh my gosh, you guys actually voted for this thing. But it's mail-in ballots. It's mail-in ballots right now. You don't know yet, so I'm not gonna like lose my mind. We can recalculate to the Heartland Community College. You guys are on the stream, so you guys get to watch me do the math. I've got a spreadsheet. If you guys want it, drop your emails below and I'll send you the spreadsheet. Totals, vote totals and things like that. It gives you percentages, makes it real clear. We'll post it all at the end of the show. But Dave Seltzer, he's got 2,698, 2,698 votes for BEC. And then we've got Janet Hood, 4,000. Yeah, Seltzer, I don't know if he's going to bounce back enough to, these are pretty high percentages in comparison. Like, he really didn't do well with early voting. Just mail-in ballots, they just always lean left. And you get such a jump start at the beginning. And that's where like it's very hard to overcome. So you got to really try to get the early vote out for Republicans. But 4,155 for Janet Hood. Then you've got Thomas Witt. Like I said, he's kind of a dim-wit. 3079. That's how I remember his name, Dimwit. He posted false information on his social media about Elon Musk and what he had posted. He posted an altered photo. It was photoshopped and it was deemed false by USA Today. So that's interesting. You've got somebody serving in higher education who's sharing false information, which I think is like hilariously ironic. Then you've got Lori Bergner. She is got 4,130 votes. So it's 4 ways you get to the top 3. Okay, so the top 3 still Janet Hood, Thomas Witt, and Lori Bergner. 18% of the vote going to David Seltzer, 29% of the vote going to Janet Hood. Thomas Witt is getting 22% of the vote. And so Thomas Witt might be knocked out by David Seltzer, which would be great. That would be awesome. That would be like the way I would want the election to go, right, for the Heartland trustees. Earlier in the show, you guys wanted Tri-Valley. So Tri-Valley School District, their school board. Yeah, nothing new there. I keep refreshing and I'm not seeing anything new with the McLean County. They've got like some of the vote totals in. Precincts counting, they have like one precinct counting. Yeah, we're not seeing much. Still not seeing much. All right. The idiots I know who want to increase taxes, saying that the kids deserve it. Yeah. And I don't know why they use the kids. They weaponize the kids and they use the kids as pawns. And that's what's so disgusting about it, Becky. You understand more than anyone. So I don't think I have to tell you, but they use the kids as pawns to get them and secure the tax dollars. It's the unfunded pension liability the state's facing. Barry wants to make sure he's got his pension. The school administrators want to make sure they've got their salaries. I think not understanding the initiative should make you ineligible to vote on it. We aren't giving kids what they deserve. Idiots voting from their emotions. Yeah. The kids don't deserve poor financial management of districts. Exactly. And they did the same thing with Unit 5. They weaponized the kids as pawns. Reading some of your comments here, the kids don't deserve poor financial management from the school districts. Yeah. Yeah, it's not looking too great, but like I said, it's mail-in ballots. There's 0 precincts reporting right now for both BEC. I did some vote totaling during the break, and we've got for yes, it's 57% of the vote, and then for no, for the sales tax referendum, it's 42% of the vote. This is your Consolidated Election Show. It's the most anticipated show of the year. I appreciate you being here with me this evening. Like I said, 57% of the vote for the yeses. This is insane to me. I like how this Becky says, the idiots I know who want to increase the taxes say that the kids deserve it. Yeah, but the money doesn't go. Yeah, I know, complete idiots. Like the money's not going to the kids, clearly. Okay, otherwise the kids would be able to read and do math at grade level. That's what bothers me about this. And we all know what's really at the root here. It is the unfunded pension liability that Illinois has. They want to secure as much tax of that taxes as they possibly can to ensure that they get their pensions. Because Illinois has such a deep hole, okay, they're in a pickle, okay, when it comes to the pensions. And the administration school admission has ballooned despite enrollment dropping. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know. We'll have to see. It's mail-in ballots. Typically, these lean a certain way. Now, with Dan Brady, he is performing very well with the mail-in ballots. I would be shocked to see him lose tonight, just because typically in-person voting leans right. So at this stage in the game, the fact that he's got more mail-in ballots than Cody Hendricks and Mboka Mwambwe. Now, these are nonpartisan, okay? But we all know that he ran as a Republican for the state house. He was a state representative, a Republican state representative. And he's got 3,414 votes right now for the BEC, 2,588 for Cody Hendricks. This is going to be tight. I do think it's going to be tight. And Mboka Mwambwe coming in with only 20% of the vote. I'd be shocked if it goes a different way. It will completely, I'll lose my mind if it goes a different way, because traditionally, in-person voting is going to lean right. So from here on out, you're going to see it. They both climb gradually. Okay, the left and the right. So you guys are really interested in Tri-Valley School District. I wanted to bring you some of those vote totals. They're still the same. Bobby Brown, he's the top performer with Amy Peitzer and Brian Myers. You get to pick 3 of them. Other people in that race, Mariah Bruning, Thomas Stark, and Casey Mish. Okay, so you guys seem to be interested in that race. The Heartland trustees, I'm going to give you some more of those totals. You've got David Selzer. He's got 18% of the vote, so he's not going. I don't know if he comes back. He's fallen off quite a bit. Now, he could knock Thomas Witt out. Thomas Dimwit, as I like to call him, because just a quick social media gander, you'll look at and find out that he's got the Canadian flag as his profile picture. He hates Elon Musk. He posts false information. He was fact-checked by USA Today. But Thomas Witt, he's at 22%. So the only way this kind of goes, I bet, is David Seltzer knocks him out, potentially, as more votes as precincts report. But that's David Seltzer, Janet Hood, Thomas Witt, and Lori Bergner. 3 of them move on. Okay, they move on to be your trustees. That's Janet Hood, Thomas Witt, and Lori Bergner at this point. So Lots of things going on this morning or this evening. It's so hard to say evening. In the morning, we will be doing a recap. So you guys will want to tune in at 6 a.m. bright and early tomorrow morning from 6 to 7. I'm going to dedicate all the results. We're going to post them right after the show. We're going till 9, hopefully, if we get some more results, but we're kind of like twiddling our thumbs here. There's been a lot of stories to come out during this election cycle that I think that we should hit during the show here today. So Kathleen Lorenz, she has come under fire for this $20,000 campaign contribution that the McLean County Republicans gave her. A state board official, according to NPR, said he doesn't remember ever seeing a case like this before where a candidate admitted to coordinating with a donor to funnel a donation through a campaign, through a political party. The McLean County Republicans, by doing so, Lorenz and the donor circumvented campaign finance law. That's a bit of a stretch, dude. I do think that that's a bit of a stretch to say that, because political parties can donate infinite amount of dollars. And you have your state representative, Maurice West, who actually endorsed Cody Hendricks this go around. You have him to thank for that. You have several Democrats to thank for that, for weaponizing really these political parties and giving them the ability to donate to candidates, unlimited donations to candidates. I've never donated. I know you're going to say, really, Kat? Yes, really. Is because especially I live in the state of Illinois. I don't give my money to Illinois Republicans. I don't give my money to parties. I give my money to candidates I believe in specifically. That's who I do. Like, I donate on an individual level, because you never know what your PAC, what your party is going to do with that money, really. They might think, like, for example, the NRA or abortion, or pro-life PACs, right? They might throw the money towards candidates that they prefer, and are pro-life candidates or their abortion candidates, whatever, but you might not agree with the candidate, or you might not think that they're really actually pro-life. Okay, so that's why, individual voting is or individual campaign finance, like, and donating to the candidate yourself is so good. Now, these people didn't want to do that. Maybe, I don't know, the suspected donor here that kind of used the McLean County party as a pass-through, it's Greg Shepard and Heather Shepard. And it gets real interesting, because I guess they're the cousins of Chris Goose, the opponent here. So let me look at the totals. Let's see what we've got going on, cooking so far. McLean County, they might have a little bit more to report here. They do. So Kathleen Lorenz, she's at 36% of the vote. Chris Coos, 48% of the vote. This is going to be close. So she's got 1,438 votes. Chris Coos has 1,906 votes. Now, Kimberly Harris, she's got 576 votes. I don't think Kimberly is going to be a serious contender in this race. Okay, I think we can pretty much mathematically gather. So there's been more precincts that have been reporting. So let's look at this. 12%. So we've got 12% of the so this is very minimal, folks, very minimal. We've got 12% of the precincts reporting. So let's go right back down to the referendum, the question, because that's what I'm curious about. Yes, we're still looking at these vote totals. It looks like yeses, the yeses are they're the ones that are going to win this thing, maybe, with 12% of the precincts reporting. We don't know quite yet. It's preliminary. But let me check this out. 3,234 votes for the yeses, okay? And then you've got 2,588 for the noes. Okay, for this referendum, to up your sales tax and have you pay more for your coffee in the morning. Okay, that's what we're looking at here. Let me look at BEC. Let me see if there were any changes there. Dan Brady, still 44% of the vote, 34% of the vote for Cody Hendricks and Boca, 20% of the vote. If you guys want a specific race called, go ahead and shoot me a message. Give me a text, 309-451-9299. Or you can comment on the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Rumble page. Unit 5, District 87, their school board races aren't contested. Tri-Valley is contested. We are going to be looking at the Heartland trustees. We're also going to be looking at the El Paso Gridley mayor race that's contested. There's also a Leroy Ward 1 race that's contested. So we'll take a look at those here in just a little bit. But I wanted to, nothing new for BEC. So at this point, for the referendum question, you've got 56% of the vote going to the yeses and 43% of the votes going no for the sales tax referendum. Okay. Let's look at Chad Burke, the town supervisor position, and Crystal Abel. So Chad Burke, he's got 1,300 around 1,300 votes, and then Crystal Abel has around 2,500 votes. Okay, so 34% of the vote for Chad Burke, and then Crystal Abel has 65% of the vote with 12% precincts reporting. So what does this mean, Kat? Break this down for me. We're very early. Okay, we're very early. We know Crystal Abel, this Chad Burke race is going to be pretty controversial. Okay, this has been one of the hottest races. We'll have to see what goes on from here. Okay, this is mail-in votes. This is early voting. These are a couple of precincts reporting. Let's go down to the normal township trustees. We've got Floyd Aper, Republican, 8%. The Republicans are doing poorly. Okay, there you go. I had it. All across the board for normal, Republicans are doing poorly. Dan Brady is doing pretty well. And these are nonpartisan races. Okay, sure. They're nonpartisan races. Try telling that to Cody Hendricks, who has actually come under fire, by the way, for his mailers because he's been endorsed by the McLean County Democrats, and City Code says that you cannot run as a candidate with the backing of the parties and do a partisan endorsement of any kind and campaign off of that endorsement as a candidate. That's what City Code says. People have said he violated it. Specifically, Ben Zimmerman has said that. So let's get to the township trustees. You had to pick 4 of them. There's 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats. Floyd Aper, around 1,300. He's got 8% of the vote. Randall Schwab, 8% of the vote. Mary Cottier, 9% of the vote. And then we've got Ron Ulmer. He's got 8% of the vote. And then double that for the Democrats. Pretty much 16% of the vote across the board for Tanner, Natasha, Dylan, and Naoko. They're all Democrats. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. Let me check this out, see if we've got any more precincts reporting. Still the same. So we have to take a quick break, but when we come back, I've got more for you. We can talk more about Kathleen Lorenz and this, coming under scrutiny for the 28,000 Illinois politicians do this all the time, where they use the parties, okay, for the unlimited funding. If you don't like it, then you got to change it at the state house level. The Democrats changed it. They changed the law to use the law, okay? And, if they get upset when, I don't even want to call her, but when people use the law in these races, then you got to change the law, right? I also want to talk about the code violation. I touched on that a little bit with Cody Hendricks. It's interesting. Cody Hendricks, he's an Olympia High School social studies teacher. Now, he told the Panagraph that he teaches civics and economics. So which is it? I don't know. We will also get to a few other things. There's just so much that I could talk about with this election. There was so much happening, especially with the sales tax referendum, where there is an open and active investigation into this criminal offense, Class B misdemeanor election interference. We'll be right back. It's the 2025 Consolidated Election. I know, but Becky, I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Love. I absolutely love doing election shows, and I try to keep people as calm as much as I can. I have called 5 elections now at this point in Bloomington Normal. Way more than 5 for 5 years. I've been calling elections, and I do about a couple of elections every year. So I've done a handful of these, and it's never going to go your way in Bloomington Normal. Okay. It just won't. So I love how you keep us calm. All the votes aren't in. Because you're gonna just completely lose my mind if Crystal wins. Keep us calm, cat. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. She is. If she wins, then there is absolutely no hope for Bloomington Normal. I mean, I just don't even know how. It's an ethical question. Okay, she's serving as both a McLean County board member and a Normal Township supervisor. Just even that alone, okay, minus the radicalism, minus the fact that she promoted a business that might be investigated for not using liquor licenses and for giving out liquor in their businesses. That's just something recent. Okay. So despite all of Crystal Abel's like beliefs and her belief system and who she is as a candidate and how she governs, okay, in her decision making, despite all that, she's serving in a high level government and a low level of government. Common sense will tell you that there is a conflict of interest there. Okay. We're back. So let me get this. Hey, good morning. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. This is the 2025 Consolidated Election Show. We've got some results coming in. Not a ton. I'm going to be honest. I'm like biting my fingernails here waiting for this. So Dan Brady, 44% of the vote. Cody Hendricks, 34% of the vote. 20% of the vote going to the incumbent mayor, Mboka Mwambwe. I'm not shocked by this. I'm really not. They played it like it was a partisan election. Well, not they. I shouldn't say they. Cody Hendricks played this like it was a partisan election. Okay, so Cody has been accused of violating city code, not by me. Okay, I will say allegedly until the city of Bloomington investigates it, if they ever do. But Sheila Montney, she read at the Bloomington City Council meeting, hey, I just want to draw attention to the code. Candidates for elected office of the city of Bloomington, mayor and council members, they may not run or hold themselves out to be candidates nominated by or endorsed by political parties. On all of Cody Hendricks' mailers, you can see the big old fat logo of the D. It's the Democrat logo. Okay, Donna Boland, she's a former Bloomington alderman. She says the city code is clear regarding political party endorsements put forth by a candidate running in a nonpartisan municipal election. Candidates for public office should be held to a higher standard of integrity. Willful violation of city code by a candidate in municipal elections is a mockery of the legislative body for which they are seeking office. Yeah, you don't want to teaches civics but violates the code. Yeah. Right. So just so that way you're aware, the City of Bloomington Board of Elections Commissions, they have been administering nonpartisan elections since 1914. So to play this like it's a nonpartisan election, okay, naturally that's going to come down to the not so moderate choices, which is Mboka Mwambwe would be the moderate-ish choice. Okay, so Ben Zimmerman, he's got 39% of the vote, and I'm going to just refresh this again just really quickly. 39% of the vote, 60% of the vote going to Jenna Kearns. Jenna Kearns, she's the one who doesn't stand for the Pledge of, or she stands for the Pledge of Allegiance. Excuse me, let me correct myself. She stands, but she does not say the words or put her hand over her heart when she is standing at attention for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Now, Christo, we did this story earlier this morning. Christo Ortiz Palafox, he emailed us some correspondence between he and Jenna Kearns, and he tried to get to the bottom as to why she doesn't put her hand over her, why she doesn't say the words out loud. She has no issues with the Pledge of Allegiance. She just says, I take this time to quietly reflect on my gratitude for the opportunity to serve my constituents, or something like that, to that effect, in her email correspondence back to Christo, who's a voter. And I love how Christo puts it. He's just like, look, you shouldn't just stand up for the pledge, you should stand for the pledge. And the only way to do that is by reciting the pledge, right? And saying the words with your mouth. This is something that unites us. Of course, the Pledge of Allegiance, our country. And really, it's a time I don't think about myself at all when saying the pledge. I'm going to be honest with what I think about when I say the Pledge of Allegiance. I think about the people who died for this country and died for her freedom. So this is interesting. Christo, he says, yet despite having no religious objections, she refuses to recite the words of the pledge. This leads me to believe that her decision is one not out of principle, rather the political symbolism. This is not about partisanship. This is about honoring our nation. If the Pledge of Allegiance matters to you as it does to me, I encourage you, the voters, to consider this when casting your votes for Ward 1. Our leaders should stand for, not just stand during, the traditions that unite us, the Pledge of Allegiance. So I thought this was really interesting. Why? Because media reports suggest that Kearns had suggested that Ben Zimmerman was not a nonpartisan individual. By the groups he affiliates with or something like that is, how she phrased it in the media at one point. And, I just find it interesting because that is ridiculous in that Jenna Kearns, on her campaign campaign mailers, she said, I'm the only candidate for Democrats. So again, that Bloomington City Code says that you can't present yourself as a candidate of or be nominated by or endorsed by certain political parties in nonpartisan elections. So I want to get to some of these results here. Let's see how many precincts are reporting. Now, remember, there's 2 election authorities. All right, 44%. Okay, so we have quite a bit. Okay, we're getting close to the being able to look at who's gonna come out on top on these things. Now, it's still way too close to call for Chris Coos and Kathleen Lorenz. I don't think I'm going to be calling any votes or any races tonight because some of them are just too close. Some of them I will, but this one, not yet. So Chris Coos, he's got 46% of the vote. Kathleen Lorenz, very, very close, 39.19% of the vote. So that's very, very close. Kimberly Harris, I think we can pretty much count her out of the running. She's got 13% of the vote. I really do think that Kimberly Harris supporters, voters, had she not been in the race, I think they definitely would have voted for Chris Coos. I don't know how many of them would have gone for Kathleen Lorenz, but I don't think it would have been that many. So he probably would have been pretty far ahead had not Kimberly Harris entered the race. Chris Coos has been mayor longer than I've been alive. And I'm just going to put that out there. Okay. Let's get to Burke and Crystal Abel. They're running for Normal Township Supervisor. Burke, he's got 38% of the votes. So he has climbed. That gap has closed a little bit. Way too close to call at this point. That gap has closed quite a bit. 38% of the vote. And Crystal Abel has 60% of the vote. Okay, so that are about 61% of the vote. So that's way too close to call at this point. I want to get to the Normal Township trustees. Materians, they've closed the gap a little bit more. Floyd Aper, Randall Schwab, Mary Codier, and then Ron Ulmer. We've got 10% for Aper, 9% for Schwab Codier, 10% Ron, 9%. Now, your top 4, all Democrats, okay, for the Normal Township Supervisor. We've got, and I want to check this out. I want to see how good people are at voting down ballot, okay? Carl Sela. Oh, I haven't even looked at this race yet. So Carl Sela, he's at 38% of the vote, and Dana Schweitzdans, I'm going to butcher that, is at 61% of the vote. Now they're going for Normal Township clerk. Okay, this is the clerk. And the assessor is Kent Depew because he is non-contested, okay, in a non-contested race. So there's clerk, supervisor, and assessor. The clerks were contested. Carl Sela, he's the Republican, and he's not doing as well as Dana Sheikdance. Okay, so she's got 61% of the vote. Now, I want to look at this because this is going to be really interesting. Okay, let's just look at one of these Democrats for Normal Township Supervisor. We've got Tanner. Okay, so Tanner is leading amongst the Democrats. Okay, now all of the Democrats are leading in this Normal Township Supervisors or Normal Township trustee spot. Okay, all the Democrats are leading. You have to pick 4 of them. So the 4 top contenders are Tanner, Natasha, Dillon, and Nako or Naka. I don't know. So the top one is 3,470 votes. Okay, that's how many votes Tanner Starr got. Now let's go back to Crystal Abel and see how many votes she got. Okay, because this is going to be really interesting. She got 3,690 votes. Okay, so let me look at this. This is going to be interesting. Here we go. So Crystal Abel, 360. What was it? 3,690, and then we've got Tanner, 3,690. So 3,470. Okay, so you see the difference here. By a couple of hundred of votes. So this goes to show you that people are not voting down ballot, and that is a good sign. I know that sounds terrible, but that's a good sign. Typically when there's nefarities, okay, election nefarities, what you want to look out for, I'm just going to be honest with you, what I do, I look out for this all of the time. You want to look out for down ballot races having higher vote totals than your top races, okay? Because it's very unlikely that your down ballot races are going to exceed, those vote totals are going to exceed the top ballot contenders, okay? So I've got to take a quick break, but you're listening to Conservative Cat. This is the big election show, 2025 Consolidated Election. Normal is being run by a real Nazi. Crystal Abel is a comment somebody left on the stream. You guys can go ahead, leave a comment. I'll read them. McLean County election office sales tax vote dropped just under 54%. And the no's are gaining ground, yes, to just 54%. So earlier in the show, it was 58% between the McLean County Election Authority and the Bloomington Election Commission. It was 58%. So the no's are gaining ground. That's going to be really tight. It's going to be really tight. So we're going to be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat 2025 Consolidated Election. Hey, go ahead and smash that like button. My daughter probably voted for Tanner because he came to our door and stood in the rain to talk to us. But I told my kids, if you vote for Crystal, God so help me. Yeah. Like I said, just so crazy to me that she can even run, and like it's not an ethical question. Um, Somebody should definitely raise the ethical questions. We are going to get to some more. 67% precincts reporting at this point. Still, I really don't want to call anything right now. I'm gonna wait until it gets to about 80 or 90%. Okay, to call races. I like to do that. Where it's mathematically impossible for people to come back. At this point, Kimberly Harris not a contender. Okay, for normal races. We're going to get to some of the more rural races. Ryan, thanks for being here. I am going to try to get to the El Paso mayor's race. I know a lot of you care about the Tri-Valley School Board District, or school board races, so we're going to get to that one. Hey, good evening. You're listening to the most anticipated show of the year, the 2025 Consolidated Election Show, with your host, Conservative Cat. That's me. Thad Moole, Ronald Howard, and George William Moore, they're all running for El Paso mayor. This is one of those races that are, rural contested. It's kind of rare for the rural areas. There's not a lot of contested races. But I pulled some of them, and we're going to take a look at some of them. Tri-Valley School Board seems to be one that y'all care about a whole lot. So I want to give you the Tri-Valley School Board totals here. It's still looking like Bobby Brown, Amy Peitzer, and we've got this Brian Myers. They're all still kind of leading by very narrow margins, though, because Mariah Bruning could sneak up on us here yet. And now, something to remember about local elections, the rural areas. Okay, so your Leroy. So, like, El Paso isn't even in yet. I went to go look at that race. They have 0 votes as of right now. Okay, so El Paso isn't even in. Leroy, I looked at Leroy. Let me look at there, because there is one race that's contested in Leroy that I kind of wanted to look at. It's Leroy Ward 1. And a lot of these rural districts, like, it makes sense because they got to drive, they got to, it's they get counted last. Okay, so at this point, you're going to see maybe some more right-leaning candidates, conservative candidates, gain ground. You're going to see the no votes gaining ground. We talked about that. The McLean County Election Authority is reporting 67% of the precincts reporting. Patricia Wellander and Scott Tucker, they are running for this Ward 1 seat, alderperson in Leroy. They're contested. They're both independents, but Scott Tucker, he's got 57% of the vote. And Patricia, she's got 42% of the vote. Okay, so they just a couple of minutes ago weren't reporting. Okay, so some of these rural districts might not be reporting yet, and they come in a little bit later. So, for example, I can see right here Hudson. They've got 0 precincts reporting right now. So they don't have any of them reporting. So mayor for Leroy, you guys are probably curious, it's uncontested. Okay, so a lot of these rural districts, or a lot of these rural areas, they have uncontested elections. Now let's jump back. I want to look at the sales tax referendum. This is one of the most controversial referendums I've ever really seen on a ballot. It's sales tax. Okay, it's when you go and get your coffee in the morning, it's going to be 5 cents more after this passes. Okay, so, and it's looking like it might just. Okay, we are gaining ground, but 55%. So we're looking at close to 55% with the McLean County and Bloomington election authorities, because you guys got to add total those up together. Okay, that is how you calculate this. You don't want to leave out the BEC, because the BEC it'll just jump out at you and surprise you. So we have 55% yes and 44% no. So I don't know if this passes or not. It's still too early to call it. Let's see if the BEC has any more vote totals for us. They've got a few more. 45% of the vote. So Dan Brady is slowly ticking up. Something about Dan Brady's race to know early in the night, okay, with the mail-in ballots, just the mail-in ballots, he led Cody Hendricks. And that is shocking for Republican or for a right-leaning candidate or right of center candidate, okay? I'm saying that because Dan Brady was a registered Republican, and he ran as served in the state representative. I forget what district it was. It's 88 now, and 91 they gerrymandered it. So Dan Brady, 45% of the vote, and he came in really high with the mail-in ballots, and I didn't expect that. So Cody Hendricks behind him, 34% of the vote. Okay, so then Ben Zimmerman, he's been ticking up a little bit, but not by much. So Ben Zimmerman, he's got 42.9% of the vote. Jenna Kearns, who doesn't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, she stands for the Pledge of Allegiance. She doesn't say the Pledge of Allegiance. She does not recite it or put her hand over her heart. She came under fire for that from voters. And they, emailed her and asked her, hey, why? Cristo Ortiz Palafox, he had emailed her, and he sent a tip to our tip line, news@cities929.com, by the way, if you want to email us a tip. And there was an email correspondence between the two of them, and she doesn't have any real religious convictions or anything against the pledge. She just prefers to sit in quiet reflection and not recite the words to the Pledge of Allegiance, and he took issue with that. So Jenna Kearns, 57% of the vote. Ben Zimmerman, 42% of the vote. This is a big one because the water rates are going up, the water quality is going down. People, I feel like they want change. Would want change, but Jenna Kearns is the incumbent, so they might not be boiled enough, or they might not be peeved off enough to get her out of there. So Roger Bedecker, 34% of the vote, and 65% of the vote going to Abby Scott. Abby Scott, not too shocked about this one, but a little, just because she wasn't an incumbent. She is the wife or spouse of some kind, a significant other of Corey Byrne. Corey Byrne is a sitting McLean County board member. Okay, so let me check this out. I think we got some more precincts. 79, almost 80% of the precincts reporting. I got to take a quick break here, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to read some more totals for you. We might go to 9:30. I'll have to see how it's looking. We might go to 9:30, just so that way I want to get at least 95% of these precincts reporting for you. So we're going to come right back. I'm going to do some more vote totals and give you some more results. Go ahead and find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble, and subscribe to the channel. We'll be right back. Hey, you're listening to Conservative Cat. This is our 2025 Consolidated Election Show. I just wanted to jump in and give you some more results before 9 o'clock, and we are going to go over just a little bit into 9:30-ish. So the referendum. This is interesting because the no's, they've gained ground, but I don't know, folks. It's still pretty far off. There's a 10 point or 10 percentage point difference here. So the yeses have 54% of the vote and the no's have 45% of the vote. Okay. So I do want to give you a Heartland Trustees update here in just a little bit. But let's take a look at Lorenz and Chris Coos because we haven't seen them in a little while. 39% of the vote for Kathleen Lorenz and 46% of the vote for Chris Coos. Okay, so those are the normal mayor, obviously. Normal mayor, it's the president of normal, I guess, is because they're an incorporated town, I think. There was a whole debacle there a few years ago. Anyway, so Chad Burke, let's look at him. He's got 38% of the vote, and Crystal Label has 60%, 61% of the vote. So we've got more precincts reporting. We've got 79 precincts reporting. Now we've got 82%. Just refresh. So let me take a look at Lorenz again one more time. 40% of the vote and 45. So she's gaining ground. And like I said, folks, this is probably because of the rural districts reporting later. Okay, the rural districts report later. So as time goes on, Republicans gain. It's just by how much. Okay, and this is why your vote matters so much, because if you don't show up to vote on April 1st, all those mail-in ballots, they get counted, and you're defeated. Okay, so if you can't make it out to vote for whatever reason on the day of, right? And this is why I encourage people to go vote early if they can. I don't like the mail-in ballot situation as much as you. But, sometimes things happen, April 1st, maybe there was some weather, maybe you ran into weather, or maybe a kid got sick, maybe, something happened where you couldn't go vote today. And this matters because at this moment, this is where these rural districts, if you live like in Leroy, if you live in some of these rural districts, this is where your vote really, really begins to matter. So Kathleen Lorenz, like I said, 40% of the vote, and Chris Coos, 45% of the vote. Let's go back to Chad Burke and Crystal Label. They're running for Normal Township Supervisor. 40% of the vote. So like I said, Chad Burke, he's gaining ground. Crystal Label has 59% of the vote. So he's gaining ground. And this happens towards the end of the election where you'll see Republicans start to gain a little bit of footing. Carl Sela, he's got 40% of the vote. And Dana Schickdans has 60% of the vote. 59.8% of the vote. Okay, I want to be accurate. Now, those are the contested elections there for the Normal Township. Kent Depew, not contested for the assessor position there. I do want to check in with David Selzer and the Heartland Trustees. Okay, the Heartland Trustees. So he's gained a little bit of ground. David Selzer, I was hoping he could boot out Thomas Witt, Thomas Dimwit. Earlier in the show, we talked about how Thomas, he on his social media shared all kinds of fake things about Elon Musk, and like he shared like an altered photo, which I thought was interesting, coming from somebody who's going to be serving in higher education, obviously. So David Selzer, he's got 5,198 votes. With the McLean County Election Authority. Okay, now remember, Heartland, I voted for these guys today in Lincoln. It extends to multiple counties even, just past McLean County Election Authority. You have to add them all together. So Bloomington Election Commission is a separate entity. So you've got Janet Hood, who's also another kind of Republican, I would guess, or I would kind of say, you know what I mean by that, right? And then you've got her at 7,335 votes. So she, by almost like a few hundred, like she is really surpassing everybody else. In comparison, maybe it's because she plays it so down the middle and is kind of wishy-washy. Maybe that's why, just judging by like her social media, she just seems with like moderate, maybe even leans left, but you know, hangs out with Republicans kind of deal. So maybe that's a winning, I don't know. But she's got 7,335 votes in comparison to everybody else. She's kind of running away with this thing, to be honest with you. So I think Jana Hood is just definitely going to be there. So we've got Thomas Witt. He's got 5,551 votes for the McLean. This is McLean County. Okay, now I got to add the Bloomington Election Commission, which we will do on the other side of this break, coming up in just short little bit. Lori Bergner, she's got 6,992 votes for the McLean County Election Authority. And we're going to come back. We're going to take this out probably till we've got at least 95 precincts reporting. We'll see how far this goes out. But you're listening to Conservative Cat, Cities 92.9, the news and talk, Bloomington Normal. This is your 2025 Consolidated Election Show. go ahead and smash that like button, share this out with your friends. I didn't vote for him, but he came to my door too, and I liked him. In the 5 minutes we talked, yeah, Tanner. So you guys are talking about the Normal Township trustees. God, the sales tax is still up around 2,400 votes. Not looking good. It'll be funny though when all the residents in McLean County open up their property tax bill late April and see it's going up 8 to 9% just from the school tax levy hikes. Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing about the property tax abatement. Number one, are they bribing people? And as you had pointed out, it's a felony, class 4 felony, to bribe people and buy people's votes. And, they're essentially saying, oh, we're going to lower your property tax bill. And this is like bribing people to vote for this thing. They've gotten very, very desperate to the point where they are using their taxpayer websites to host, electioneering paraphernalia is the best way I could say it, and asking voters blatantly to vote for this thing using their taxpayer funded websites. They do multiple social media posts, multiple emails, to parents. It was desperate, and like that's the best way I could describe what the schools did here with the sales tax referendum. I'm going to total up the sales tax referendum here between the Bloomington Election Commission and McLean County. I still don't think that this thing is going to make it past, or I think that it's going to make it past the finish line. Let me rephrase this where you understand it's going to pass. I have a feeling. I don't know why. I think it's the kids. Okay, a lot of people have kids in public schools, and they want to throw money at it rather than like look at the elephant in the room. Okay, a lot of parents. Okay, and to make themselves feel better, McLean County is lost. Yeah. To make themselves feel better, these parents for leaving their kids in these hellholes. They know they're hellholes. They know that the kids are getting bullied. They know that there's a lot of problems. They understand it, right? But they use the money and they think that the money is going to help the students, but little do they know the money is not going towards the students. Okay, they're paying, what is it, $17,000 per student, but at District 87, but the kids aren't learning to read or write, and they're not doing it at grade level in their comprehension scores, their reading scores, their math scores have gone down, okay, despite the funding. Okay, so I think parents get caught up in this, like, we're going to do it for the kids. And I don't know what it is about these schools. They are able to phrase it in such a way like this is for the kids. It's money for kids. And it's not money for kids, it's money for them. And they've gotten very good at lying, essentially. So the yes votes, for the sales tax referendum, 7,734 votes yes for this thing. Okay. Now we're going to go look at it for the Bloomington Election Authority. So 7,914 have voted yes for the Bloomington Election Commission. And then for the no's, it's 5,991. Ooh, we are brutalized in the BEC right now. We are getting pummeled. Yeah. It's like I said, it's balancing it, and there's 10-point percentages. Hey, good evening. You are listening to Conservative Cat, the Consolidated Election Show. We're going to go for a little bit here, just about 10 minutes. I'm going to see if there's some more precincts reporting for McLean County. There are 91 precincts counted so far. So, I mean, we're getting pretty dang close. So let's look up Kathleen Lorenz versus Chris Coos. She's still sitting at 40% and he's at 5%. So this is a really close election between Kathleen Lorenz and Chris Coos. That's too close to call, definitely. Chad Burke and Crystal Label, 40-60. So, I mean, he's gained ground. I don't know, folks. It's not looking great. I mean, I'm not going to call it yet. I don't like to call races until you got 100% precincts reporting because I've been burned on it before. I don't think I'll be burned on it because we already got the mail-in ballots from McLean County Election Authority, but I've been burned before and I don't want to do it again. So I'm going to wait till, I'm going to post them after, the show today. So you guys can head there, cities929.com, and our projected winners will be there. So because you can count mail-in ballots 2 weeks after the election or something like that, like it's postmarked for the election. I don't know. We live in a crazy state. I don't even know if I don't know even understand how that's all possible. But Chad Burke 40% of the vote, Crystal Label 59.9% of the vote. So like I said, I don't foresee with 91% of the precincts coming in. Chad ran a great race. He had a great campaign. Chad has always been a advocate for transparency, ethical behavior. He, of course, took on Goliath, the Lizzie Johnson whole scandal there, which I'm still think is under investigation by the Illinois State Board of Elections, possibly, where they look into the soliciting of donations. Where they were using government funds and government resources to go around, according to Trevor Sierra, this email, Lizzie Johnson was going around asking for donations for this PAC that was set up and established for the county auditor. And I know that sounds very similar to what's going on with the McLean County Sheriff's Office. They're investigating the school districts for doing the exact same thing, essentially using taxpayer resources to promote the referendum, the sales tax referendum, which is currently leading by 10 percentage points. Okay, so it's like 54% to 45%. Okay, 54% voting yes. So Chad Burke, he ran a really tough race. He's always stood for transparency and ethical behavior. And the fact that Crystal Label serves as a McLean County board member and a Normal Township supervisor, possibly she's going to be the projected winner here. It looks like it, with 91% of the precincts reporting, I'd imagine. It's still a little too close for comfort for me to say yes, she's going to be your Normal Township supervisor, but for her to serve in a high level of government and a low level of government simultaneously. Thaddeus Jones, we've seen how this works out. Okay, when politicians do this, we've seen how it works out. It always ends in investigation, typically federal investigations. Okay. Thaddeus Jones, he's the Calumet City mayor. He's under investigation and he's a state representative. You've got Tiffany Henyer. She's a supervisor and she's a mayor of a village. So it's a recipe for disaster. You've seen it throughout the state where people run in these high level of governments and low level of governments, and they craft the law in such a way to where they can pay themselves higher and they can pay their friends higher and they can give more favors to the township of Normal, rather than, serving in one facet of government. Okay. I just don't get it. I really just don't understand how you choose that. The complete lack of transparency here, okay, or the lack of ethics and government accountability, and then you choose that over Chad Burke. I just don't understand it. But like I said, and like somebody said, McLean County is lost. Law is lost. I don't know. They're just lost. I will check the Tri-Valley board again for you. We're coming up. We're going to be closing up pretty soon, but the Tri-Valley board here, school board, we've got 16% for Mariah Bruning, 18% of the vote for Bobby Brown. Amy Peitzer, you've got 17.9%. Brian Myers, you've got 21%. So Mariah Bruning, she's close, but I don't know if she's going to make it. You've got Brian Myers, Amy Feitzer, and Bobby Brown. Okay, those are your top three. So you had to vote for three for the Tri-Valley School District. Okay, so Casey Mish, he is at 14% of the vote. So he is right behind Mariah Bruning, but right at this point, I think Mariah Bruning is going to be the one to boot one of those guys out, but I doubt it. We'll have to see. So that's Tri-Valley. What did I want to? Oh, I wanted to share with you David Seltzer. He's at 20% of the vote. He might just beat out Thomas Witt. So this Heartland trustees, okay, the Heartland trustees, he might just beat out. So 21.74% of the vote is going to Thomas Witt, Dimwit, as I like to call him, because he posted, mean things about Elon Musk. Like, he's just like so rabid. I don't understand the Canadian flag as his profile picture. Like, are you an American dude or what? You know what I mean? Like, why would you put your profile picture as a Canadian flag? I don't understand. Don't you live in America? Number one. Number two, he posted, USA Today fact-checked him. It was false. He posted a altered video or an altered image, and he said Elon Musk said things that he didn't. So it was an altered image, and USA Today fact-checked him. And to have somebody serving in higher education, I just don't understand. So actually, David Seltzer might just boot out Thomas Witt, but he's not close enough. Janet Hood is definitely running away with this thing. She's a Heartland trustee. Lori Bergner also, and there's got to be three. Okay, there's got to be three, not four, but three. So the top three right now. Hood, Witt, and Bergner for trustee. So let me look here real quick. I want to see how many precincts are reporting, see if there's any more updates. 91% still. We're looking at 91%. So let me look at Dan Brady. Dan Brady, he's got 46% of the vote. Let me refresh, make sure there's, and I'll tell you how many precincts are reporting. So 47 out of 60 precincts are reporting at this point for Bloomington Election Commission. You've got Dan Brady, 46% of the vote. Now, he's got 6,613 votes. Now, there is something deeply wrong here, okay? Deeply wrong with this picture, okay? You've got Ben Zimmerman with only 703 votes, okay? If these guys were smart, and they were, I mean, they ran a hard race, they try to tie themselves to the contender at the top, but it's hard because it's nonpartisan elections. They couldn't run as a slate. I understand that. But man, I can't believe how many people just went in and voted for mayor. Okay. That's it. Like, they went in, voted for mayor, and they did not go down the ballot at all. Because Ben Zimmerman, he's got 703 votes for the Bloomington Election Commission. They've got him there at 703. And then Dan Brady, you would think that Dan Brady and Ben Zimmerman voters would all be the same, or at least they'd go down ballot and they'd vote for Ben as alderman Ward 1 against Jenna Kearns. Okay, so Jenna Kearns but the same is true for Cody Hendricks, 4,889 votes. And then Jenna Kearns has 926 votes. So down ballot, people are not voting down ballot. So I think that they've got to, and I've always said this about candidates, you've got to educate people. If they're going out for the mayoral race, okay, but like, you also have to educate them about down ballot and who you are as a candidate, and not just to select the ones at the top. So you've got Roger Bedecker. He's got 611 votes. Abby Scott, 975. So that's like 60-40 as well. I don't see them coming back. Ben Zimmerman and Roger Bedecker, both fantastic candidates. Ben Zimmerman was on the show a couple of days ago with me in the morning, which we are going to have a recap, folks, for you in the morning. We're going to have a recap for you with all of your results. So right now, not looking great for Ben Zimmerman. He's a great candidate, had great ideas, and ran a tough race, but it's Okay, so now we've got 55% of the votes reporting out of 60. And I think that we're gonna call it for the night. And I'm gonna give you one more last round of results here after this break. And after I give you some of those results, we're gonna call it. So I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna do some calculations. We're going to give you some preliminary results on air because I think it's close enough now to where we can give you some projected winners. Give me a text 309-451 9299 if you want to see a specific race. But we're going to be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat. Consolidated election. We're back, and I'm going to give you some results. It looks like Bloomington Election Commission, 60 out of 60 precincts reporting. Okay, so Dan Brady, 48% of the vote. 48% of the vote. Okay, so looks like he's going to be your mayor, your projected winner. Okay, for 2025 election is Dan Brady for mayor of Bloomington. Cody Hendricks, 33% of the vote, 18% of the vote going to Mboka Mwambwe. Looks like Jenna Kearns is going to keep her seat. She was the incumbent. 56% of the vote. Benjamin Zimmerman fought a hard campaign, 43% of the vote. Then you've got in Ward 9, Abby Scott, the significant other of Corey Byrne, the McLean County board member, the current McLean County board member, 60% or 57.95% of the vote. And then you've got Roger Bedecker, a challenger, and they were both, so they both weren't serving prior. Okay. I want to be clear about that. So no incumbents, 42% of the vote going to Roger Bedecker. Okay, now I want to talk about the sales tax referendum. Okay, I totaled them up between the McLean County Authority. So far, the McLean County Authority, only 91% of the precincts are reporting. I mean, that's quite a bit. So at this point, I calculated them up with the Bloomington Election Commission totals, and we're looking at 53% of the vote for the yeses, so that probably will pass. I don't quite know. It's really close. Kind of. I don't know. I don't want to call it, but it 46% of the vote for no. So it's looking more favorable to the yes that sales tax referendum is going to pass. Now, what's interesting about the Heartland trustees, I told these guys up. The Bloomington Election Commission, and it's too close to call, really too close to call for them between Thomas Witt and David Seltzer. So Thomas Witt, 21% of the vote, 20% of the vote for David Seltzer. Now, in the shoo-ins are Janet Hood and Lori Bergner, okay, for Heartland trustees, okay? Now you're probably wondering, okay, what about normal? What about normal? With 91% of the vote already kind of in, I hate to do this because I really wish that I didn't have to. Crystal Abel, she's very, very left, folks, very far left. She is 59% of the vote, 40% of the vote going to Chad Burke. Likely she's going to be the projected winner here unless something crazy happens. And like I said, Chad's going to be eating away at that lead. But I don't know if he's going to make it. So that's Normal Township Supervisor. And then there's, of course, the clerk, Carl Sela. Very similar. So one good thing is that, down ballot, they didn't lose, voters. So at the top of the ticket, it was Chad Burke. But then people who voted for Chad Burke also voted for Carl Sela. So he had 40% of the vote, and then 59% of the vote going to Dana Scheikdens. She is the clerk, okay, projected winner for the Normal Township clerk. Now, for the trustees, okay, Randall Schwab, Floyd Apper, Mary Cottier, Ron Ulmer, they're all the Republicans, okay? They came in at around 10%, okay? I'm just going to summarize for you. They did not perform as well as the Democrats. All the Democrats performed at about 14%. Okay, so the Democrats being Tanner, Natasha Saeed, Dylan Hill Broad, Naoka Graffies, they all performed at about 14% of the vote. Okay, so it's the top four. So all four Democrats beat or projected to beat the four Republicans for Normal Township trustees, okay? Now, you guys want to Tri-Valley. I'm going to give you Tri-Valley one more time for the school board. We've got Bobby Brown. We've got the Amy Peitzer and Brian Myers. Those guys on that school board, those three are looking to be the projected winners. Mariah Bruning might surprise us and boot out Amy Peitzer there. They're close enough to where that might happen. but I don't know. I really don't know. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the El Paso mayor. Okay, the mayoral race that was contested. Now, they not seeing any votes in for them yet, so that's interesting. That was three-way race, and there hasn't been any votes yet for them. So you can only vote for one. It's Thad Mule, Roland Howard, George William Moore, three-way race. And I'm not seeing any votes totaled for them yet. So we're going to go back to Kathleen Lorenz, Chris Coos, this race. Let me refresh here because I want to see. 40% still for Kathleen Lorenz with 92% of the precincts reporting. So we've got Chris Coos, 45%. So there's only 3 precincts left to report. Unless those three precincts are normal, quite possibly she could unseat him. I don't know about that though. I mean, we're getting pretty close to the end here. What else? Okay, Bloomington is done. So you guys know who your leaders are going to be for Bloomington. Normal, I'm not seeing too much where there's going to be much of a difference. Of course, Heartland, the trustees, as I said, the rural areas, they might be a little bit, they might be getting, like the David Seltzer might get a little bit more from that, the rural areas coming in. Now, one more I wanted to do for the rural areas, Leroy, Ward 1, that's Scott Tucker and Patricia Wellander. I think Scott Tucker probably took it. Let's see here. Yes, he did. We're looking at this, and 57% of the vote, Scott Tucker. Congratulations, Scott Tucker, for Ward 1, alderperson in Leroy. That was one of the only contested races in these rural areas. McLean Village president, just in case you're curious. We can take a look at that one as well. Daniel Beal and Charles Denham Jr. So we'll go ahead and take a peek at Daniel. He's got 53% of the vote, Daniel Beal, and both independents. Charles Denham, he has 46% of the vote. So those are some of your rural races. Like I said, probably still a little too close to call for Kathleen Lorenz and Chris Coos. But at Bloomington, you're done. You're done. You should gave you those at the beginning in case you wanted a reminder. Dan Brady, Abby Scott, Jenna Kearns, these are the big ones. And like I said, the referendum, we don't know too for sure, but it looks like it might just pass because we're at 53% of the vote for the yeses and 46% of the vote for the noes. And that's going to do it for us. I'm going to head on out, but we are going to do a recap, folks, tomorrow morning, okay? We are going to do a recap, and we are going to give you all of the results online here in just a little bit, and we're going to do our projected winners on cities929.com so you guys can check it out. You guys have a blessed rest of your night, and I so do appreciate you tuning in to the 2025 Consolidated Election Show. Bye-bye, be blessed, and congratulations to all of the candidates who won. Running a race is tough, and running a campaign is tough, and I appreciate all of the interviews that we've done, and it was a great election season for sure. Interesting. You guys be blessed. Bye-bye. Talk to you tomorrow. All right. I think that's it. By the way, everyone should look forward to getting their tax bills in the next few weeks. District 87 raised their taxes 8% and raised them 9.2%. I mean, these schools are just ridiculous. I don't know what to say, Dean. It just absolutely sucks. My recommendation, get out of big cities if you can, and get out of blue states if you can. That's because you're going to get robbed. That's really what this is. It's just robbing. Thanks, Kat. Looks like election interference wins the day for the sales tax. I'm sure tax and spend government officials throughout the county are excited to know that they can get away with anything. The voters will reward them. Yeah. Yep. I know it sucks. And I know you fought hard, Dean. Trying to inform people. Susan Crawford, projected winner of the Supreme Court seat. Yes, Wisconsin. Or Susan Crawford. Oh, I'll have to look into that because I know that that was a big race. That's a big deal. Wisconsin Supreme Court seat. So we'll have updates for you tomorrow morning, even with for the Wisconsin Supreme Court seat. I got to take a look at that. So bye bye. Love you guys. We'll talk again soon.